Hello everybody, my first ever video on this channel was a video where I ranked every coaster at Carowinds. That video is one of my favorites on the channel and is probably my most popular video. So I thought that I would do a video exactly like that for Kings Dominion. My first ever visit to this park was actually this year. That being said, I think you're going to be shocked when I tell you how many times I visited the park. I've been here around 6 times this year, all on different visits. We've been visiting family in Richmond, so we try to get out to Kings Dominion as much as possible. This park has become a second home park to me in the past year, so I feel I'm pretty qualified to make this video. With that being said, let's get on to number 13, the Great Pumpkin Coaster. I do not technically have this credit yet, but I'm going to assume that it's the same as Wilderness Run at Carowinds, which I do have the credit. So that's why it's going to fall here, just a normal E&F Myler kiddie coaster with weak but janky airtime that is weirdly fun, but it's not thrilling enough to go any higher. Number 12, Apple's Apple. I was lucky enough to do this ride on my last visit during Haunt because it was completely walk-on. This is one of those rides that if it's not completely walk-on, I will not do, because the operations are awful and the ride experience is just not that worth it. Despite that, I love the hairpin turns these Wild Mouse coasters have. I think Mock does a really good job. I don't have anything else to really say about the ride, except for it's a different version of the Wild Mouse model, having that big first drop before the turn section. With that, let's move on to number 11, Reptilian. This coaster is purely a gimmick. There are little to no forces on this ride, and while the seating setup is cool, it's really hard to figure out. The visuals of this ride are great and it fits in perfectly with the jungle expedition area, but I'm not a fan of the actual ride experience. Like I said earlier, the forces are kind of non-existent, and it's a coaster you really don't do unless it has a short wait or it's your first time and you really need the credit. Number 10, Woodstock Express. I stand by my opinion that this is the perfect kiddie coaster model. It packs in some really great forces, and to this day I will make it a priority to ride almost every time I go. This ride just has some great vibes and is amazing for the kids who are making their way to the bigger coasters. This coaster has a clone at Carowinds that I used to do a lot when I was younger, and is kind of the reason I got into coasters at such a young age. I totally recommend doing this if you have smaller kids, because it will definitely make them want to come back. Number 9, Backlot Stunt Coaster. Another really weirdly forceful coaster. The launch and this helix makes me gray out almost every time because it's so tightly compact. And the rest of the ride has some really fun little turns and elements that give solid forces. But I have a few nitpicks, starting with the effects. They're almost never working, but that's kind of true for the other coasters of this kind as well, the ones at Kings Island and Canada's Wonderland. But after that, my second nitpick is this little pop after you exit the show building. It's really unnecessary and kind of hurts. If I could fix one thing about the ride, it would be removing that part and just making it a normal drop. I think other than that, Premier made an incredible family coaster, and it really goes to show the depth that Kings Dominion's coaster lineup has. Number 8, Tumbili. I have a really weird relationship with this ride. Sometimes I absolutely love it, and sometimes I absolutely hate it. There's something about getting flipped so quickly that it's one of the coolest sensations I've ever experienced, but the operations on the ride are pretty awful, and I don't think you flip enough. I think getting 3 or 4 flips on this ride should be the normal, but you get like 2, sometimes even 1, and I feel like it just completely eliminates the purpose of the ride. And I wish they got one of the larger models like the Six Flags parks. Now again, this is a super thrilling ride experience and not for everybody, so if you're easily nauseated, I would recommend skipping this ride. Number 7, Racer 75. Such a perfect classic dueling wooden coaster. I love every single one of PTC's coasters, and this is an incredible example. The park has maintained this classic Woody so well over the years, and this year it's been dueling almost every time. At the beginning of the year, it was running a lot slower and actually wasn't dueling all the time, but by late June, both sides were running, and I didn't actually have a good experience with the Racer at Kings Island last year. I thought it was pretty forceless, and then riding Racer 75 this year was really interesting for me, because as a more seasoned coaster enthusiast, I was really able to appreciate more aspects of the ride, and I really recommend riding in the back car and a wheel seat, so second to back row. Number 6, Rapterra. I'm going to be honest, spots 4, 5, and 6 are all interchangeable for me. I love the ride experiences equally, and on my list of total coasters, they would come back to back to back. But Rapterra is probably the weakest of all of them. It's easily the most inconsistent coaster at Kings Dominion. It's so shaky in the valleys, and it makes it sort of unenjoyable at times. But in my last visit, the good moments were really, really good. The launch isn't as shaky as I remember it being. It's also super forceful, and the inversions of the ride are sort of smooth. Again, really the bad parts are the valleys of the inversions and hills. There's also a turnaround section that goes over the pathways. It's really shaky as well. But the restraints, which were a big problem for me when I first did the ride, don't really have an effect anymore. They're not as painful because they're kind of broken in. Also, when the ride is running well, this is a top 4 coaster at the park, but its inconsistency is the reason it has to be lowered on the list. Number 5, Grizzly. This ride is another inconsistent ride, but it isn't as inconsistent in the way Rapterra is. A bad ride on Grizzly really isn't a bad ride. All it is it's running a little less forceful and slower. But I really enjoy the out of control moments the second half has, and when it's running fast, it's better than the number 4 ride. You really get good airtime over the first drop when you're in the back row, and the second drop is just as good. I used to not be a fan of the second half, but I really like the out of control nature it has. And yeah, it's rougher in some areas, but I think that's what gives it its charm. It is a wooden coaster after all. And I heard some pretty awful things about the ride before the retrack, and comparing those reviews to now after the retrack, it's not even close. The retracking the park did was exactly what this ride needed. Absolutely recommend. 9 out of 10. Number 4, Flight of Fear. I know some of y'all are going to be pretty mad with this placing, but I love Flight of Fear, and it's always a great ride. Yeah, the wait times are long, but it's so worth it. I love the extraterrestrial theming, and that first launch always gets me nervous. There's something about the anticipation of going 0 to 60 that just gets your heart going. It's a great ride to cool down on hot days because of the air conditioning, and it's right next to one of the best rides in the park, so I really have been enjoying this area a lot more recently, and a lot of people wouldn't even know this is here. I think re-theming the outside actually did great things for this ride, making it fit into the Jungle Expedition area more, and I think Backlot needs a lot of that too. But back to the actual ride experience, it reminds me a lot of a cheaper Rock and Roller Coaster, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it being more compact makes it a little more thrilling, and yeah, the on-ride theming of Rock and Roller Coaster is way better. It's not a bad ride. This is another ride that if you're easily nauseated, I would not recommend going on though. But other than that, awesome ride. Number 3, Dominator. On my last visit during Halloween Haunt, there was absolutely nobody in line for this, so we lapped it over and over again. It just gave me such an appreciation for the ride, and the park has just done such a good job maintaining this B&M and keeping it smooth, which is funny, because it's actually smoother than another B&M coaster at the park, and it's Rapterra, the park's newest coaster. This ride is relentless from start to finish, and that's why it makes it into the top 3, and the same can be said for the park's number 2 and number 1 coaster. That's why they are the top 3 coasters at the park. It's just pure adrenaline and thrill. Number 2, Twisted Timbers. Twisted Timbers is one of those rides that you just can't have a bad ride on. It's just so much pure fun and has my favorite coaster sensation, ejector airtime. RMC just made an absolute masterpiece with Twisted Timbers, and I have no idea why they don't give the same treatment to Hurler, which was an identical coaster at Carowinds. Now on to how you can make the best out of your rides on this coaster. If you wait till later in the day, you might have to brave the line, but it'll be worth it as the ride is going to be perfectly warmed up. This is the same with a lot of other RMC coasters, and if you ride in the back row, you'll get the best possible airtime you can get. Number 1, Pantherian / I-305. I have no other comparisons for this ride, and when you're on it, it doesn't even feel like it's actually happening. You're going so fast, and there's so much wind in your face, it feels like a dream, and that's in the best way possible. That first turn is one of the most intense elements on any coaster I've ever experienced. It will make you gray out every single time, and I have no complaints about the ride experience, except for the lack of airtime. But I think it makes up for that with just the raw intensity and speed. Those whippy transitions are something different. I mean, stuff you haven't experienced unless you've done Maverick. Actually, speaking of Maverick, I would say it's kind of a combination of that and Millennium Force. So I said I didn't have any comparisons, but there you go. There's a comparison. I lied. But anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I have 3 more videos on the way I'm working on, so I can hopefully get those out to you soon. I also don't necessarily know what to do in the coaster off season when I'm not traveling to parks. So if you want to comment down those ideas you have, I would really appreciate it, and I would give you credit if I do those videos. I really like reading y'all's comments at the end of the day, and I really hope you have a great day. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, last thing I would like to add, all non-copyright footage that I got from this video is from Airtime Thrills, Massachusetts coasters, and coaster stops. So thank you guys so much for providing that off-ride footage.